All right, y'all, I'm so excited because I get to sit down with my good friend, author, speaker, Bible teacher, Angie Smith. Angie, thanks for being here.
I'm so excited to be, bestie.
Okay, so as I walked in, before we even started recording, I was like, why is this so overdue? Like, you and I should have been friends 10 years ago.
Yes. It was like they knew that the powerhouse, once that happened, the universe
can't handle this combination.
That's right.
Yeah.
No.
We know so many of the same people. We have so many mutual friends, and we are in such similar circles.
Yeah.
In the faith-based circle, author, speaker, churches, and even here in Nashville, we were just talking about houses and all that kind of stuff in the neighborhoods.
Isn't that fun?
But I'm so excited you're here. And I'm so excited that I get to dig into your new book with you and even just learn from you, Angie, because I know you don't even remember this, but you spoke at Crosspoint back when I attended 1 million years ago.
Oh,
so like even just the connection from back then.
Yes.
But I love just learning from people that have a different perspective on faith and on just seeing God in the practical ways on this earth. So I know you've written books before.
Yeah.
But you have a new one.
Yes.
Called Woven, Understanding the Bible as One Seamless Story. And as an author, I always love to ask first, why this new book? Why this message? Like, why were you excited to talk about this thing?
I needed a paycheck.
Well, we're just going to keep it
not
real.
Accurate. Actually, this is like my... years ago, I wrote a Bible study called Seamless, and a lot of people are like, how is this different from the idea is the same, but the Bible study is obviously interactive, and, you know, you're grabbing your Bible and looking everything up.
Journaling, answering questions.
Yeah, like you're involved in it. And we just started talking about it and praying, and we were like, what if we took that and put it into a format which had a bunch more information and was much more in depth, but was also something that you could give to like a new believer.
Yeah.
Who's not going to pick up a Bible study.
Right.
And I was in grad school here, and these sweet girls, I was in a really not good relationship. And these sweet girls who were Christians happened to live in my apartment complex. And they just invited me. This is, when was I in grad school? 2098?
Okay, got it.
Around that time period. And so they invited me to Bible study. I don't know what a Bible study is at that point. Of course, we did Beth Moore's Breaking Free, which is like a really intense.
Yes, it is. Very in-depth.
First Bible study. And so anyway, I just got frustrated because I couldn't understand the Bible. I mean, I'm like, all right, we're doing this, and I know.
I still feel that, by the way.
Honestly.
Can we dig into that? Because I need help.
Yeah. And I would say it is shocking how many Christians, no matter how long you've been in the faith, would say the same thing. So I literally went from the Bible study, because I like the academics of things, went and sat on the floor in a Christian bookstore and started grabbing children's Bibles. Like literally, like I'm sitting with vegetables.
Explain it to me in a way that I can understand.
Yes, like a super basic.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm just that kind of person. But for me, it was so satisfying to look through and be like, hey, you know how like Deuteronomy, that word scares you, and like you can read it and find quotes? Like, do you understand that's just when they got here and Moses is giving 5 speeches? That's all that is. Like, oh, and here's where the kings are, and here, like this chronological putting everything into context because the Bible's not necessarily in order, right? So sometimes we're
which I only recently learned.
But that's the thing is I think a lot of people they just feel so overwhelmed, inadequate, and I just really, really wanted a resource where once they're done, they can open up the Bible and be like, Joseph, oh, that's why he was here. That's who. Like, that just feels so empowering to me that I hope that people, you know, can understand the narrative of Scripture from beginning to end, especially how the Old Testament relates to the New Testament, because that's really confusing for a lot of people.
Well, it is. And what's so interesting is, and we've talked about this here on the show before, but I think so many women, I would say the vast majority of my listeners and viewers, want to read the Bible. They want to spend time in the Bible. But one of two things happens. Of course, they're busy. But the reality is, if we really wanted to do it, we would probably make time. It's that when we sit down, we feel dumb, unqualified. I don't know how to understand this. This feels boring. This feels irrelevant. How does this work together? And so, of course, we're not going to be real excited to run back the next day if that's our experience. And I love how you have really taken the cookies, put them on the bottom shelf of like, I'm going to explain this to you in a way that you can understand. Because that's such a gift to people to be able to do the thing they want to do, which is spend time with God. And you're going, oh, you can. Let me just break it down for you.
And that's the point. He's like, it was written for us. It's not written for, you don't have to have gone to seminary or be a scholar. It's just, you know, a matter of, I don't know, for me, the entire time, I would read something and I've been like teaching the Bible for years. And I'd go, you're joking.
Yeah.
That was who. So, and the heart of it is, hey, go through this, get that, and then get curious and go in the Bible. If you have a framework, now you're going to find 10 million things, and you're going to, your eyes are going to see something totally different.
Yeah.
But I hope that that's what people feel empowered to do.
Yeah.
And not to be intimidated. It's like tissue. I mean, it's scary,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Okay, so I love how even the description of one seamless story. Let's talk a little bit about how it is a story. Because story is something that I think we can understand.
Yeah.
Our brains are wired for story. Yeah. Like I've always been fascinated on the research, and you're a speaker and teacher as well, but the research around storytelling, when you're on stage, when you tell stories, people are with you. Their brains are activated like yours is through a story. So we're created for story.
That's right.
And that's how it was given to us. So teach us a little bit about that as kind of a high level, how the Bible is a story.
Right. And I do think that that's the most important part that people miss, because we're so honed in on these little sections.
Is it a rule book? Is it a history lesson?
Right.
Is it,
And
which are not exciting, by the way. Like, who wants to read a rule book? That's not fun.
Leviticus? That's like the part where everyone's like, I'm going to read the Bible all the way through, and they're like, womp, womp.
Yep,
like, you get to
right
Leviticus, and you're like, I give up. I give, uncle. But I do think there's something about, again, like understanding that this is a narrative. It's a story that was written in our Bibles, but it's still being written. We're a part of the story. And I don't even mean that in like a cheesy way. It's understanding, oh, this is who God's chosen people were. And this is how we're grafted in. And this is, so for me, it's like I'm looking at people who are part of the story that I've now been put into, and understanding all of this happened because of that, because of that, because of that. And just understanding too, like, sounds so dumb, but a lot of people would, you look at like what was happening in history at some of the points in the Old Testament, and you're like, I mean, I know this time period, I studied all these kings. I'm like, these are real kings. Like when you're reading the Bible, like that was a real king who had a real kingdom that's still there.
It's
that we
not
learned
imaginary.
About.
This is not, pretend. Yeah.
Yes, and I just think there's something tangible about saying, this is the overarching story that has always been the bigger part of every story you've ever heard. This has always been the story.
Yeah.
And that I am so passionate about Old Testament, New Testament. I'm not a scholar in the slightest bit. I just know that I love what God shows me when I kind of dig into it a little bit. Not because I'm smart, and just because I'm curious. I think that's the word.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you take that curiosity, you cultivate the knowledge through your study, your research, your digging in, and then deliver that to people in a way that's easily understood.
It's my heart.
I'm so excited to dig into this. Okay, you work with a lot of women. You work with a lot of people, but a lot of women. I'm curious, kind of similar topic, but also just a little bit different. What do you think that the modern American woman is missing in her faith? What do you think? You know what I mean? Like we're all, I mean, gosh, we could just unpack this all day, Angie. Like we were talking about shows we binge watch, but like, I just feel like as a mom, we were talking about even like season of life. I have little kids, 6, 4.5, and 1.5.
Yeah.
And I'm in a season of, it's so physical.
Absolutely.
It's so physically exhausting. Every car seat, every stroller, every bath, everything.
So much.
And I feel like sometimes like in this season, I can miss out on what God has for me if I'm always focused on the next thing, if I could just get to this next thing. But I know you work with women in all different life stages. Are there certain themes or patterns that you see of like, oh man, like we miss this? Or we misunderstand this. What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, of course, we're like, oh, COVID, social media. You know, we've got like all the stuff that's kind of thrown in the pot that's being stirred right now. But for me, I think I see, and it just to sort of touch on what you just said, a lot of, and I mean, I'm assuming people feel this way. It's not something I experience.
I'm so ready for this.
But like the guilt of, I didn't read this, or I'm not praying right. Like I think that I spend a lot more time looking like at everyone else on the pew than I do looking at Jesus. I think I'm going, what are we supposed to do? I'm failing at that.
Right.
So again, it like pushes me away from my desire to interact because I just feel like I'm not doing it right.
Right.
I'm not doing enough. I'm not. And so for me, it's like, I think there are a lot of people who are coming back to the simplicity of you can do it however it looks for you. And you have freedom in Christ to not sit in front of a window that's half open with birds and journal, which is what I imagine everyone else is doing, right? And so I think it's funny, even in conversations with a few friends recently, it's sort of along that theme of learning how to invite God into those moments.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a like, God, thank you for the buckling of the car. Like just just being aware of the fact that he is there and saying thank you. And I just think for me, it's definitely been a season of paring down of a lot of the stuff that I have put on myself and not realized until this season that I was drowning in it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my faith life, it's a part of what I do.
Sure.
So, it just all sort of gets squished together where what's work? What's my faith?
Right.
Am I even spending time with God?
Right.
I mean, I'm talking about him over here.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think overall it feels like we're getting back to the bare bones of stuff.
Yeah.
I hope so.
The guilt is such a big piece of it. And that's something that I feel, and it's something I've seen in every woman I work with. I have a book coming out this September on life balance, and I'm trying to have like a new take on life balance.
Do you have advanced copies?
Yes, I do. I'll give you one. But the tagline is the guilt-free guide to life balance. The guilt-free, because guilt is such a piece of what we experience. Can I just tell you, let me tell you my day, okay? Let me tell you my day. Let me tell you the situation.
Is this 2 day or like every day?
This is 2 days specifically, but you could maybe apply this to every day. I don't know. Forgot my child's backpack and lunch. Okay. Forgot my other child's poster project.
Ow.
Forgot his snack. And forgot it was picture day. So no telling what his hair looked like for these class pictures.
I did that.
And I'm walking into the office late because I also didn't get gas yesterday, so I was, running late, had to stop for gas. And I'm like, if you're not careful, you will look at this terrible resume that you've created just from today alone and be like, I'm failing. And I think a lot of women, we do that. We make a mistake or 10, whatever, and we go, I'm failing as a mom. And, even in light of Mother's Day being this week, I want to spend some time digging into even what you're talking about, this idea of guilt, the guilt that we feel and how that is not from the Lord.
Right.
And the freedom we find in him. Freedom from comparison of all these people we perceive to have it perfect and comparison to what we think we should be doing of like checking these boxes and having it all together. And so for you, what does that look like in your life in a practical way of getting out of those grooves of guilt or that inner critic or the comparison? Because I think we struggle with this daily. It's not like you flip a switch and go, nailed it, I never deal with this again.
Every moment. I mean, even just this week, there was an experience where a parent handled something and I was like, oh, that was really good.
Yeah.
Wow, that was... and we were we were also laughing. We're part of this new like a home church system that's growing, and we were sitting on the ground and talking about like, what do your spiritual practices look like at home? How do you do this? And I want tangible. Like, I want you to actually tell me what you do, not
theory.
Yeah, I don't like theory.
Like what do you do?
I need the facts. Yeah. And so someone was like, they all went around, and this girl raised her hand and she goes, I just want to say that one of the things that's really special to me is when I come downstairs and every morning my dad has his bowl of fruit and my mom has her cereal and their Bibles are open and it's just their time. And I'm looking at my kids and I'm like,
don't you talk about what goes on in our house.
I mean, we all the other moms like looked at each other and we started laughing because we know in this situation, that's what that looks like for them.
Sure.
But Todd and I had to get home and we were like, we've screwed the whole thing up.
Right.
We got to buy fruit. Like, we have to fix
Where do you
this.
get fruit? Where do we need fruit? We need fruit to be doing it right. Open your Bible right now. Place it on the table.
But I mean, like, when you hear that, you think in your mind,
this is how I should be doing it.
My kids they probably don't even know I love the Lord.
Right.
I probably, like, as a parent, and we were talking about this, 2 of my kids are leaving for college in a few months.
Yeah.
And so I sort of feel like I'm at that place where I'm evaluating.
Right.
What did I do?
Did I do it right?
Right.
Yeah.
If I could answer the question about your inner critic and comparison and all of that, I also think rhythms are so important. And I've never had rhythms in my life. My husband's a singer. I'm a writer. We don't have the same schedules. I was doing writing and speaking seasons at the same time. Like, I just have never had anything that felt like I could anticipate what was coming next.
Yeah.
And so I want to read your book. I mean, honestly, and I think a lot of people will.
Thank you.
We're obviously not the only ones. Every person who's watching this would say the same.
Yeah.
And if you don't, just go watch something else.
Please teach us how you do it then.
Can you? Write in.
I think that, it's interesting because even what you're talking about with sending your girls off to college, and I can't even imagine all the emotions that come with that. I think there's something, I've been on this kick lately, Angie, about seasons, just in general, seasons of our life, and how little we talk about them, but how greatly they affect how we feel. So like,
listen,
I come downstairs last night, or any night, at 7:30, we've gotten everybody in bed. Everybody's had their baths, their books, their teeth, all the things. And we have a messy kitchen to clean up. We have lunches to make. And we just crashed. And you're kind of going, okay, I'm exhausted. Will it ever get easier? And then you are in a completely different world. Your girls, I'm guessing, go to the bathroom by themselves, and you don't have to help
just
them.
The 18-year-olds. Okay. 15 and 10, we're in pull-ups. But yeah, it is a totally different season.
It's a different season. But how your season, the season that you're in, whether it's a season of work and work is crazy, you have been on the road with your speaking or your husband, whatever. That season can so affect your reality, your version of balance, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about how you're spending your time. Talk a little bit about what different seasons have looked like for you and how you've, to your point, going back to what you said of doing what's right for you.
Yeah.
How do you discern what's right for you in any given season and know like, okay, this is what I need right now. This is what success looks like for me right now. And it's different than it did 6 months ago and it's different than it will be in 6 years. I think seasons is so important.
I totally agree. And one of the things my best friend and I have for months been going through this program that's sort of like to help you eventually sort of get down to like, what is the one thing that only I can do that God has called me to do in the kingdom? And you sort of come up with this like banner of this is now my headline.
Okay, this
is
like true north.
Under here. Yeah. We're not doing it.
Okay.
Like these are our new boundaries. If it doesn't, such and such and such. And so I feel like that has helped me realize I've got to be much more disciplined about planning ahead. Because I'm the person who someone will call us minute changes and I'm like, yeah. Like,
sure.
I don't know how to say no to things.
My default is yes to everything. I would love to. Yes.
Always. And so I feel like I'm at least more aware of the fact that I have really been affected by things that I can't go back and redo. And it's one of those things you get somewhere and you look back and you're like, that was crazy. Like, why did
What was I thinking?
What was I thinking? I also think just emotionally, I've had the last, the last couple of years have been really traumatic. For me, my dad passed away and April 3rd was the 2nd year anniversary, and my daughter passed away on April 7th. She would have been 13 this year. And so...
Oh, Angie, I'm so sorry.
It was just a lot.
Yeah.
In a
short amount of time.
It was, and like other dates that fell around there. But just a season of understanding how to let grieving and celebrating life dance. Like, I can't figure that out.
Like holding those at the same time.
Because what I'm doing now is, this is not good advice, by the way. I'm just telling you how I'm struggling.
Let's keep it real.
I'm just going to lay down and talk to you about my stuff.
Yeah.
But it is looking back and saying, I can never get like that bike ride with my dad back. You know, like the season of me being a kid and him like pulling me on something in the raft in the ocean, or him coming home from work, or me like standing on his feet, you know, when he gets home. Like I can never do that over again.
Right.
And for some reason, and I think it is partly because of the girls and just because of loss, my grandmother died 2 months after him. Just this intense, and of course there's like lots more details, but of I can never go back and I can't stop time. Like, I obviously like dealing with so much death and having, you know, I know what is there in theory. Right. But I've never been in heaven yet, you know? And so I know that that is what's waiting and that is the glory of everything. Yeah. But it's hard in my flesh right now. I just want him back. Yeah. I mean, he was my hero.
Yeah. How has, even as you recap that and so recently having to the anniversary of all that, how have you either felt God or experienced God or seen God right in the midst of that heartbreak? Because Angie, even as like these tears well up in your eyes, there are women watching, there are women listening that are there right now. They're right now. And they feel overwhelmed by the emotion. They feel overwhelmed by those facts that you just laid out that are so true. Yeah. And we also know as believers, like God never leaves us. He never forsakes us. He is with us, even in our heartbreak. Are there any moments that you can point to and go, this hurts so bad, and I felt God here. I saw God here.
I mean, I would say I was very closer than I'm comfortable saying to just going, peace out, God. I don't even think this whole thing is real. I really don't, because I don't understand how anyone who loves me would he doesn't want that. That wasn't his will. I mean, this wasn't what he wanted, but it was sifted through his hands. I mean, I have to acknowledge that. And so it just became this very personal of all the people, God of all the people. And so I think in that, what I started doing was just saying, Lord, could you just show me small things that only I would understand? And he knows, and my dad was he's a brilliant man. And so like silly things, I'll brag about him for a second. He was vice president of marketing as part of Procter & Gamble. So he's like nighttime sniffling, sneezing. Like that was his team.
His
like
thing,
he did it. Like that was his team.
Yeah.
And so he was just, that's how his brain worked. And so there were just certain things that were memories of us that
Only you knew.
statistically, and that was his thing, is like, all of that. And if I explained them to you, they would sound silly.
Totally.
But there were moments where I dead stop. Like there's a video of me, I'm sure, in Home Depot, and I probably look very strange. Because I was singing a song that was really meaningful to my dad and I was at a part of it, and I got out of my car and started walking in, and I went in, the same song at that part was playing. I can't.
No,
that was can't
God.
be. Like I just have to look at that and go, pretend you don't believe anything.
Right.
Like, and I could see, like I picture him as like a director, like eating the popcorn. He's like, I love this scene. I love this scene. Because I walk in and I'm like,
watch this.
I mean, seriously. Right. I mean, I literally
He's like, she's going to flip. Yeah.
I really do think there's probably a video of me like, and they're like, she's just in awe of saws and plywood.
She loves home improvement.
Really into it. So I started asking for small things that only I would understand, but that would mean something to me.
That's right.
And there are some really beautiful, my sister is 2 years younger than me, only sibling, staunch atheist. It's been, and she's dear to me, but we have very different views. And I have it on video. She called me one night and she's like, Angela, I don't know what to say. I've done everything I can. I can find no way to deny Jesus anymore. And I sat on the phone.
Chills, yeah.
Of all the people. So when I'm sitting there and she was like, Angela, he's real. And of course in this season, I'm like, is he?
I don't know. Can you minister to me right now?
I totally did. We did like a little bit of a flip-flop.
Yeah.
But so I can also look back, and I want to say too, after I lost my daughter in this sort of like my sister's salvation, obviously, this is magnificent. But I think back to after losing Audrey to now, a lot of people will say to me, but look at the ministry that's come from this. And I'm like, take it back. Give me my girl.
That's right.
And so
we can't do that. This is not a trade in my mind.
It's
no,
not.
Thank you.
And so people who are going through this right now, there might not be a moment where there's this big thing.
Right.
And if there is, you don't need to feel guilty for still grieving. You don't need to sum it up as like,
I'm so glad it happened. Put a bow on it. Yeah.
Yes. I understand the reason that like there is about 100% chance that there's stuff we're not going to understand until the other side of glory. We're just not going to understand. It's not a transactional equation.
And that's okay.
The way that it's easy for us to make it. But she got, I don't know, I think that I meet a lot of people who feel the need to justify.
Yeah.
Maybe just to believe God,
is
good. But that there isn't always going to be this moment, and there's likely not going to be one that in this life redeems the loss, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm learning to balance those two things too.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I'm always encouraged by when I'm in the midst of any type of heartbreak or even seeing other people, it's like God can handle that. He can handle our anger, our tears. He can handle our doubt.
Yep.
He can handle that. And so
absolutely,
it's almost like I feel like sometimes we can pull ourselves together and wipe our tears and be like, it's fine. I'm glad it happened. I see the reason.
Totally.
And it's like, no, you're just trying to convince yourself.
Exactly.
It's like, let that guard down because God wants the real you and your real heart that is angry and broken. Bring that to me.
And ironically, he's God, so like he probably already knows you feel that way.
He knows.
It makes me laugh that I'm like, I'm not mad, and he's like, you totally are.
Right.
Like you and I both.
I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I'm fine. Yeah.
But yeah, and that is such an important thing. Heaven is not shaking because you, and he put plenty of people in the Bible to show us that he's not intimidated by doubt or
that he can handle it.
Yeah.
I think there's so many people that are probably listening right now that feel so freed by you sharing that because they're in the midst of that heartbreak and they feel like they have to have more faith or have bigger prayers or have a better attitude or whatever those things are. And I just love that freedom of like, it's okay if you never feel like you're fully healed from it. It's okay if you feel like that anger is still there and you don't understand, and that's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nowhere in the Bible that says you have to feel this way.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it. That doesn't mean I always feel like I do.
Right.
It doesn't make, it's still true. Nothing I feel changes the gospel.
Right.
But I just don't think we ever have to get to a point where we're denying how we feel because we somehow think that
Right.
shows where our faith is.
Right.
And again, it's all these balances that we're trying to figure out every day.
Right.
But yeah.
And I love how personal God is, that you walk into Home Depot and that song is playing, and knowing at the same time that gave you a moment and that didn't completely take away all the feelings or the heartache. And it's like, but God's like, I'm gonna smile on you right now. I'm gonna answer your prayer of giving you something small. And He's so personal that He would do that in His goodness and still be okay if you walk out of Home Depot and you're mad and you're all over again. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Angie,
really
thank
special.
you. Thank you for sharing your story and even that piece of it too, that I know so many women feel like it's so easy to look at someone like you or someone like me, and we're on a set and all these lights and all the team that you can't see behind the cameras and think like, oh gosh, their life is easy and they don't have heartbreak or they have it all figured out or they read the Bible and they know exactly what it means or whatever the thing is. And man, when you step back and you let your guard down and go like, oh no, this is the real story. The real story is I've gone through the worst heartbreak of my life.
Yes.
The real story is sometimes I read the Bible and I'm intimidated. The real story is I forgot lunch today. Whatever these small or massive things are that they can find hope in that too.
And listen, I'll end with this. My daughter, Charlotte, that you blessed me when you said this because I didn't know it was picture day. I can send you a picture. It's on Instagram. She was wearing, she'd taken socks and made what looked like Michael Jackson gloves.
Oh, yes.
You're not ready for it. I don't know what was happening. Some kind of weird braids and cat ears. She got to the bus stop and I look and I'm realizing all the other little girls
look perfect.
Well, I'm at my window. I'm not lying. My neighbor's out there. And she's like, it was like slow-mo. I'm like, do what you can. And like the bus is coming and moving and she's like, try so hard. But no, she didn't. She's got her thing up and her, like,
she's like,
you know
I did this on purpose. I knew it was picture day.
I mean, it was so bad, like slow-mo. But the point is, I don't look at everybody's perfect picture.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the reality, and it is the reality, is that we're just, and that's another reason I think community is so important, because, because you have a kid in cat ears and Michael Jackson gloves.
Right.
But that's the
And then you have the
reality.
fruit lady that's like, you can be like me with your fruit and your Bible. For all the rest of us just winging it, you can join us here. Okay, Angie, I've been doing this new thing, rapid fire at the end, where I just ask you a bunch of random questions. Are you game?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, great.
This could go poorly.
No,
I'm totally unpredictable. I'm a liability in this kind of situation.
We edit, don't worry. Okay, first thing you do in the morning.
Am I supposed to give the honest answer?
Yes.
I look at Instagram.
Hey, keep it real. Every single one was going, thank you. Praise hands for real. That is
Sometimes I do solitaire.
You're like, oh, was there a right answer? Okay, we're moving on. Number 2, a product you're loving right now.
Oh, I got this fancy hairspray.
Oh, what is it?
I don't know how to say it. It's
okay, great.
OUAI.
Okay.
Do you love that? I just love that I'm like, will you buy my Christian book? What do? I go to Instagram and I love hairspray.
I am your Bible authority. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, what is it called? It's a hairspray. OE. Okay, great.
I don't know how to say it. It's good though.
Favorite thing to do with your kids?
Oh gosh. They're older now, and so I feel like it's different for each one of them. I would say, honestly, there are so many. Right now, I would probably say at the ages like going shopping or doing something where they're sort of tied up in other things, because then they will be more likely to talk.
Like open,
Yeah, like just the stuff that they want to do.
Yeah.
I think, and seeing them like enjoy things and have opinions about what they like the most.
Yes. Okay, what is like your favorite thing to do just for you that like really fills you up? You know what I mean? That like renews your energy, that you're like, oh, like I feel like myself. There you are, that kind of feeling.
I have struggled with that recently, and I'm trying to get to a place where I'm better about it. I think I have a couple things that I do, like, I'm such a nerd, like embroidery, like hand embroidery, or I love to read. I think just something where I
don't have to think, maybe?
I don't have to be on.
Yeah.
Like I think I put a lot of that on myself, but whether it's my kids or whatever it is, somewhere where I'm like, this is a safe spot. You don't need to be doing anything for anyone.
Right.
You
don't
don't
even
have to
smile.
earn this.
No.
You just can have this space. So whatever it is, for me, it's just like that place where I know that I'm going to get that time, whatever amount of time it is, you know, talk to the Lord, do what I need to, and then,
Yeah.
I
love that.
should probably do that first thing in the morning.
I'm gonna replace. Okay, I'm gonna start that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, what is something about you that most people don't know?
I don't know why this was the first thing that
I'm so ready for
came
it.
to mind. Well, I have two.
Okay.
One is happy and one is sad. So this is one of them. I went to Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Oh.
So the classroom where all that happened, like the
Yeah.
first grade where the woman, like that was my classroom. I mean, I can
didn't-
describe it. I know. So that's one of the things, whenever people talk, I'm like, I'll never forget
Oh, yeah.
watching the news and seeing,
Oh.
like, that's my school. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't a big community.
Yeah.
So I know people are always like, that's a sad, you know, thing.
crazy,
But
yeah.
Also just, most people don't know that. I grew up in Japan.
Did you really?
Yeah. For like,
Can you speak Japanese?
no.
Oh, I was
I
so
came
ready
back.
for you. I was like,
No.
go. Cue Japanese,
I can
closing out the
say,
show
like,
in
yeah.
Japanese. Okay.
Arigatou gozaimasu. That's the best I can do.
I
Thank
would
you
be
very much.
amazed if you could do that.
No, I came back and took Spanish, and I wasn't like good with languages, so they just kind of.
We just gave up.
Yeah.
We just,
They just all went away.
Yeah, English. We're going to write books in
I am.
English.
I'll let other people translate them if that is desired.
Okay, last question. What does balance look like to you? Like, what is something that makes you feel balanced? Like, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you feel that sense of balance.
I think when I have some kind of skeleton structure for what I'm going to be doing, and I don't feel like I'm constantly putting out fires.
Yeah.
I've just noticed that a lot in my life with the kids, with whatever. I feel like I'm jumping so much, and I feel like if I can just get like the ladder of things that feel like they're in place, then the rest of it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think I'm not good at having a plan. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for me to feel like there's been any kind of, I think building in more consistency is probably
that structure.
Trying to.
Yeah, that's so good. Oh, this is so fun.
So fun.
Angie, I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad we got to meet in real life and be best friends in real life. Okay, listen.
Yes.
Where can people get your book, Woven, Understanding the Bible as One Seamless Story? It's Mother's Day, y'all. This is such a fun conversation this week, especially. Where can people follow you, see all your shenanigans that you're getting into, the
Liability.
gloves of your daughter, and cat ears.
You have to go look.
And follow you.
Official Angie Smith is Instagram. That's
Love
where
it.
the picture is. And as far as the book, Amazon,
Wherever books are sold.
Wherever books are sold.
All the book
places.
You're so great. Angie, thanks for being here. Thanks for writing this book to teach us in a way that is so unintimidating. I can't wait to dive in. And then also just it helps people want to go to scripture more and understand it. And that's such a gift that you gave us. So thanks for being here. And I
loved
appreciate
it.
you. Awesome.
You too.